the 3rd of 2020, about the 12th of March. This is another update of the occurrence of hate crime and very serious human rights violations occurring in Tralee, County Kerry, Ireland. The issues that I'm going to discuss today in a few uploads for the interest of the civil liberty agencies and the authorities that have a sense of justice and that have a conscience are basically concerning not just societal engineering, not just the violation of spirituality and the concept of treason. There's the range of topics with regards to housing and harassment. There's a few topics I'm going to discuss today as a victim of these people in Tralee, County Kerry, Ireland, that are calling the shots, pulling strings, and basically desecrating the constitution of this country and the Declaration of the European Rights of Humanity. So basically this is an ongoing issue, as everyone is aware of that has been taking the time to look at these uploads. Basically the issue of medical incompetence that I've experienced since I gave birth has been extremely serious. My vision has been affected. My skeletal form, as I've mentioned, has been affected. At one stage I was just told it was vitamin D deficiency, but the doctors that have been treating me since I gave birth have neglected intentionally to treat my medical ailments. So as a consequence, I'm treating my ailments myself on €200 a week. That's what's happening in Tralee, County Kerry, Ireland. That's not defamatory of the county. That's just where I am. And that's where assistance is being prevented from being provided. So in case anyone misinterprets anything or tries to insinuate anything, that's not defamation of the county that I come from and respect. So the medical incompetence, as I've said, has been quite serious. Doctors have intentionally refused to treat my physical ailments. The positive aspect is that I have my own treatments that I have learnt in my studies to tend to my ailments with the simplistic ingredients that I have at my disposal with €200 per week. So that's one of the most serious issues about this medical incompetence issue. There has been also very, very, very serious bodily integrity violations, and as I've stated, they have been without consultation or authorization and without professional ethical practices being applied. So the bodily integrity violations have led to exploitation in the area of research and development that individuals are fully aware of, and that they have also lied through their teeth about. So that's the medical incompetence, the physical ailments, there's the bodily integrity violations, and then we have the issue of the psychiatrists that aren't very professional at all. As I've said, due to the marital desertion that's occurred and the adultery and whatnot that I've been experiencing, and the defamation, there are psychiatrists that are kindly assisting an adulterer and facilitating adultery. Since 2016, there has been the issue of marital desertion. 2017, I attempted to make my marriage work. I married in the best interests of the child that I gave birth to, and in good faith. Unfortunately, some people don't have the same level of respect for the issues of holy matrimony as would be expected. So the harassment, and it has been harassment on 2 occasions of 2 unlawful detainments, where my right to freedom was intentionally violated and is continuously threatened, even in my current accommodation, by individuals that have no business involving themselves with me, not a mental health patient, a member of the fellowship since 2006, um, a, an educator, uh, fully qualified from University of Limerick and the higher diploma in Hibernia, and yet there are individuals disrespecting not only my privacy, my mental health, but also my status as a deserted wife. The issue of desertion is very serious. The issue of being married is very serious. A property owner, these are things to be expected, but there are some things in humanity that are not acceptable. So this is what's happening also with my marital rights. Um, Marriage isn't just an issue of a contract agreement for an apartment or for accommodation of any sort. Um, there's been spiritual violations in this county, and as a royal, which I am, on my mother's side of my family, Fernan, O'Regan, basically there have been individuals perpetrating treason, and that's the plain and simple fact of it. And my royalty is not for bargaining and not for purchasing. Royal titles are not for purchasing. It's as simple as that. And there have been these issues occurring in this matter also. Um, Only up to recently, I heard it discussed of that bitch is not to get accommodation in this town anymore. No more €600 for HAPS allowance. That's an issue that's come up in this situation also. And the violations of privacy and people coming and going and making false claims and involving themselves in further spiritual violations that have already been perpetrated are also very serious. So the authorities are all aware of this, and this is being facilitated. Um, the United Nations, um, the civil liberty groups, the authorities in Dublin, Victim Crimes Office, um, the GSOC office, the HRM office, all the politicians, the relevant ministers, um, the United Nations, they have all been contacted with regards to the spiritual violations, marital violations, medical violations, and the children's rights violations that have also been occurring. So the bodily integrity violations, as you've probably seen from my uploads, is quite evident by my facial expressions and my facial features. So this is what's happening. The doctors have intentionally neglected physical health of a woman in 2020 Democratic Ireland. There have been individuals using ill practices, bodily integrity violations for technological developments without my consultation, without any consultation at all. So these are the issues. Marital desertion, as I've said, is not as simple as a contract agreement for a housing agency or anything like that. And people making false unsubstantiated claims and threatening a woman's right to housing and property and threatening a woman's right to have their marital rights respected doesn't say much about the women that would be involved in this kind of a vendetta. This vendetta, as I said in previous uploads, is a continuation of the incident that occurred over 10 years ago that involved very serious defamation about prostitution after a sexual assault incident. That was highly defamatory, inaccurate. As a teacher, it damaged my professional career. These are the things that have been said. There are also individuals claiming that there is money owed to individuals that I don't even know of, nor have I ever been engaged or interacted with. So this is what's going on in this town. There are people saying and doing what they want and basically not being held accountable for the damages that they've said or caused or done. The authorities have gotten a victim impact statement locally and nationally, with regards to the women's rights violations, the offences, the harassment, the domestic violence, the defamation, the children's rights violations, etc., etc. Authorities have not provided protection and they have not addressed the issues. The culprits have been facilitated in property theft, financial theft, identity theft, and spiritual violence. So, as a Royal Angelic Light worker, this is what's happening. In 2017, when this spiritual violence assault commenced, um, there was one tune being sung by the guilty culprits. That was 2 years ago. Now it's 2020 and the goalposts have shifted and people are changing their tune. There are people in this community that have claimed outrageous, superstitious, ridiculous, nonsensical, unsubstantiated claims that are highly defamatory. So these people that have affected the livelihood of this town are also involved in a crusade, as one would consider it. But unfortunately, their crusade is ill intentioned. It's quite disturbing. Adultery being facilitated is quite dangerous. Children's rights violations being facilitated is very dangerous. And financial theft, for my work that I have been doing for the past 20 years, and most recently again in the past 10, 12 years, is just what's, going on in this situation. So the authorities are fully aware. GSOC are aware. The Ombudsman, as I've said, are aware. And funnily enough, the agencies that I've been contacting regularly since these assaults have been occurring, of my character, reputation, privacy, good name, bodily integrity, etc., etc., their email addresses that I have emailed my uploads to have responded with a delivery failure. Initially, when I had been contacting the politicians and agencies in 2017, they were acknowledging my correspondence with this is not within our remit. Things have worsened a lot, much more since then, and things have gotten a little bit more serious. And it was within their remit, and it is still within their remit. So that's how dangerous the violation of privacy is. Not only is my postal correspondence being withheld from me, but also there have been individuals violating my technological data and emailing people that I would have emailed in the privacy of my own technology here, basic iPad, basic iPhone, simple technology, emailing those that I would have contacted with regards to the offences I'm experiencing that I'm not receiving supports or services for, nor am I receiving any advocacy, but I am being harassed by psychiatrists that obviously don't seem to have a proper grasp of this situation at all at all. So the people that have violated my technological data in 2017 are still doing it today, and that's how serious this is. The very fact that there has been unjust and unfair trials in this situation with regards to matters, since 2015 is also symptomatic of the violations and injustice and discrimination that's occurring. This is nothing more than outrageous. Um, I have been working as a teacher since 2003. I've continuously stated that my Garda vetting has been clean. But you see, there are people in this situation that have problems of their own, that are of their own making, and that have caused problems as a consequence for me, for the reason being that their problems that they have caused involved problems that they caused for me as well. So they're pointing the finger in the wrong direction, basically, and they're going to great expense in their defense of the immoral issues being caused, like adultery, spiritual violence. It's all hypocritical, really, what's going on. It's absolutely scandalous. And as a law abiding citizen that's worked as a teacher since 2003, that's worked for the Department of Social Welfare in this country, the Department of Education, for this to be happening, absolutely scandalous. But these are the circumstances. There's false claims, unsubstantiated claims, all being relayed, problems being caused, and the authorities haven't done a thing about it. And the worst part about it is that the ombudsman still haven't confronted the offences, which are numbering at around 20 to 25 or 30 offences now that I've experienced. So these things are being facilitated, and it's very, very serious for all professionals involved with this kind of a matter occurring. Because, as I've said, as a deserted wife whose rights have been disrespected, people violating spiritually a Royal Angelic Light worker without consent, authorization is treasonous. So these people that are involved in this, that are obstructing the human rights agencies from being involved, and the authorities that are facilitating them, and the politicians that are ignoring this issue, I hope they understand what cause they are supporting, because as a member of the fellowship since 2006, um, I think it's very serious for the lies that are being facilitated to be, you know, in existence in society at all. People that claim what they want about who they want are only looking for trouble for themselves. That's only common sense. But as a member of the fellowship, with a clean record and a clean conscience, and as a good teacher, um, people just don't seem to understand the insanity of the situation they're causing. So this is my upload for the 12th. There's going to be another 2 or 3 uploads. There's quite a lot to discuss with the injustice that's occurring. Authorities, with regards to the children's rights violations and with regards to the marital rights violations, etc., etc., etc. The future is not looking too good with this kind of conduct going on. And as I've said, the financial theft and the exploitation of my spiritual gifts that I've given a little bit of an exemplary view of in a previous upload, little 4 minutes upload, um, you know, kind of just explains, without saying anything as such, what my gifts of nature are being abused for. So that's what's happened since 2017 in this town and county. People are in denial. They're creating another deception. They're quite deluded if you consider the facts of the matter. People buying their way into situations, and you know, property theft is very serious. The violation of marital rights is very serious. Any transaction with regards to any property after 2015, as we all know, in any marriage is not tolerable at all, especially without consultation. So I hope that the United Nations and the agencies that I've contacted that have been changing their emails, um, that have been prevented, realize how serious this situation is, because there has been two incidents already with regards to violations of freedom, and there is injustice, and the individuals involved, I wouldn't trust them with your daughters, if you know what I mean. So basically, with regards to the threats in society, I'd appreciate it if the authorities would acknowledge my victim impact statement, and also the very fact that, you know, there's very serious human rights violations occurring. And as for the comment about that bitch isn't getting accommodation in this town anymore, um, end of €600 HAPS allowance after next month, would the Peter McVerry in particular, uh, you know, your agency and all other relevant civil liberty agencies realise the harassment I've experienced from my marital home, my family home, and now public accommodation. So, as a peaceful citizen that's been lied about and that's been stolen from, and whose spiritual gifts have been exploited financially by other individuals, who's also experiencing medical incompetence, and the intrusion of individuals that caused these problems in the first place, um, it's gone beyond turning a blind eye. This matter is very serious, and it's happening with other women and children also. So those making false claims, those making false allegations, accusations, presenting false evidence, presenting false information. This is the reality of the situation, and anyone facilitating this kind of a matter, I hope you have it on your conscience about what's been destroyed in this entire situation. As a Royal Angelic Light worker, with the gifts, blessings, and light that were damaged and stolen and exploited, this town is not in any position to be deciding about a measly €600 per month when there is so much owed for the damages done to my health, my physical body, my reputation, my career, my opportunities, my family life, etc., 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 and not to mention my good name. So that's food for thought in my first upload for the authorities that are facilitating any injustice, and the politicians that are turning a blind eye, and the United Nations agencies that have been prevented from assisting the vendetta of hate crime, property theft, children's rights violations, medical incompetence, etc., 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 in Tralee County, Kerry, Ireland.